everyone, it's Michelle from Scrap Secrets, and I'm here with another Sketch Sunday video. So this week's sketch is from My Favorite Things, and here is what the sketch looks like. As always, I will post the link down below in the more information section, so if you guys are interested in going over and participating in the challenge, you can go ahead and do so. If you use My Favorite Things products, you get, they pick you as a winner, you get, I believe, a $20 gift card, and if you don't use My Favorite Things, you can still enter, and if they pick your name, you win $15. I believe that's what it is. So it's a nice little prize from My Favorite Things. It's nice they do it every week, so there's a different sketch challenge. So I am going to be using mostly My Favorite Things products. I'm going to be using some of their stamps and their stencils. So this stencil that I'm using that's down here is called Crosshatch Stencil. This is just the empty packaging. I'm going to be using two of the stamps from the CS Chocolate Sentiments. Going to be I Love You More Than Chocolate and This Sweet. I'm going to be using this long stamp here from the set Friends Like Us. I'm going to be using two colors of distress ink. We're going to be using Spun Sugar and Worn Lipstick. It's going to be a two-color card. We're going to be using Memento Luxe Rich Cocoa. I think this is pretty much the only dark brown that I have that still is okay. One of the stays-on inks that I have is actually terrible. It's not. It's not very juicy anymore. Most likely, we're going to be using the Misty as well. So we're going to get started. I've taped the crosshatch stencil. Let me just move this over a little bit. Down to the work surface. I'm working on a craft mat, which is just a slick surface that if you get paint or ink or anything on it, it just wipes up. It's fantastic. So we're going to start out with the Spun Sugar and the mini round ink blending tool. Just going to apply the ink to the ink blending tool. I always start off of the paper, and that way it's kind of helps take care of those harsh lines that sometimes can appear. Now, this Spun Sugar is really, really light, so when it goes on the paper, it's going to be, and especially since the paper isn't white, the paper is Recollections in it's like a cream color. They have packs of it, I believe in 50, and they're the ones that are always going on sale for, what are they, I think they're 4 for $10 sometimes, and you can even get them cheaper than that. So I tried this with gelatos before, and I didn't have that great of luck. I'm actually going to have to start playing with them off screen, off camera, to see what kind of different techniques I can do with them, because I feel like it was user error, it's not the gelato's fault. Pretty sure it was mine. So this color is probably going to cause a subtle effect. I'm just going to kind of go back and pounce some of the areas to make it a little bit darker. So now I'm done with the Spun Sugar, and we're going to go in with the Worn Lipstick. Now there's going to be a harsh transition between these two, so what you want to do when you have a really dark color and a really light color, since there is that harsh, there'll be like almost like a harsh transition line, you can go back and forth as many times as you want with the two different colors, and it'll help blend it together. And you don't want to do a straight line, because that'll give it, again, another harsh look. So you kind of want to do a little bit higher, lower, and then you want to go back in with the lighter color and kind of blend it out, because that makes it a third color. We'll give you like a medium tone. I'm going to blend some of that out. And once you think your background is ready, and you can lift the stencil up, and we'll see what we have. So the stencil kind of moved at the top. This is terrible. Again, my lighting is really bad down here. So you kind of have some what almost looks like a double effect where it's kind of blurry up here. A lot of that will be covered with the sentiment, so I don't really mind it. Now, to clean this up, because it's on the craft mat, it's nice and easy. All you're going to do is spritz it with some water. Now, distress ink does react with water. So if I had my project under here, it would actually create a different effect. So you can do that. Play around with distress inks. There's so many different things that distress inks can do. They have very unique properties. even after they are technically dry on the paper, the distress inks themselves, you can spray them with water and you can still get an effect. Some of the, I believe the paints aren't that way, maybe the stains, but they're, the distress inks, I believe, and markers are that way. So, and if you don't know what a distress stain is, this, I just happened to have this on the side. So now that we have our background done, I am going to start working on the sentiments. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take the exact same cardstock that I have. The top piece was a banner piece, and then there was a little circle and a square underneath of it. So this was a banner, then there was a square, and then the circle kind of went in the middle. So what I'm going to do is I actually have this Fisker's punch, and I believe this is a medium punch. It's either the small or the medium. They have extra small, small, medium, and large, I believe. And then they have extra large and the real big punches. But I only have a couple of these. I thought the scallop would look nice, and then it's actually the sweet's gonna be in the middle. So I'm going to use my Misty for this one because I don't know how this is going to stamp. I've never stamped with these before, the stamp set before, so I definitely want to use the Misty so that if I have to go over it more than once, it's in the exact same spot. So what I'm going to want to do is do a smaller piece because, actually, let me check this out before it goes all the way through. Okay. So there's a little bit on the top and the bottom. Just wanted to make sure. I kind of have to make sure it goes right in the middle. So what you do for the Misty is you put the stamp like you were stamping it, so face down on your paper. Put your magnets in place so it holds the paper in place. Then you're going to pick up, oops, and that just came with it. Stamps are sometimes very sticky, so if the magnet wasn't all the way on the paper, let me just make sure. Okay. So now, what you're going to do is, this is on the lid. I'm going to take my Memento Luxe ink, and I'm going to ink up my stamp. Now, for those of you who have never seen the Misty tool, it's called Misty because it's the most incredible stamp tool invented. And what it does is it allows you to multi-stamp. So if we don't get a great impression this first time, we can stamp it again, and it'll be in the exact same spot. So I may not stamp this down as well as I can. Actually, that came out really well. Let's just ink it up one more time. That came out with a really good impression. But say I wanted a little bit darker, or I didn't stamp everything up the same way. Trying to reline the stamp up to stamp again, even with stamp positioners, is not always the easiest thing. Because this gives you a great stamped image. It's just so sweet. So I'm going to let this dry because this is, I believe this is pigment ink. I don't know off the top of my head. I think this might be pigment ink, and pigment ink takes a little bit longer to dry because it sits on top of the paper. So I'm going to put that to the side, and then we're going to get ready to stamp the rest of the project. So one of the things I think I want to do is I want to stamp the dots, and I want to do them in brown too, I believe. Or do I want to do the sentiment in brown? I'm going to do the sentiment in brown. So now that I have my stuff on here, I want to actually put this up to the edge because I just kind of want to cut out a square. I want to take this one off of the lid. I'm going to pick up both of these. So since these are from the same stamp company, and I know that nothing is going, the stamps are the exact same size. Sometimes stamps are thicker than others, and you won't get even pressure if the stamps are not the same height. But these are from the same stamp company, so they should be. You may need to stamp things separately. So we're going to ink these, if that made any sense. You guys are understanding what I mean. I don't need to ink this whole thing up, but don't know what part of it I want to use. And the Misty also helps keep things straight. You can actually line it up. It has a grid on the paper, it has a grid underneath, and it also has a grid on the lid. So we're gonna okay. So some of it didn't stamp very well, so we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna restamp it. I just may not have inked it up as well as I thought I did. Okay. Again, we're going to restamp. This Misty was a present from my goddaughter and my other niece, and it's fantastic. I've used it several times. I think I've used it in a couple of videos. For the hashtag challenge that I'm doing this month, I know that I used it in that. Beautiful. This came out so nice. For some reason that looks like the chalk. There you go. I'm like, wait a second, it looks like it came out better. And look at those dots. Look at how crisp they are. I just think that it gave such a nice impression for the first time. And if you look at this one, try to see real close. Look at how nice that looks. Okay. So then we're going to do the same thing. And you always want to clean the lid of the Misty too, so that it gets, so that you can still see through it, so that it's still clear. So we're going to clean my stamps in a minute. Just going to put this over the side. I'll clean it after the video is done. Okay. So while we're waiting for the sentiments stuff to dry, we're going to take this piece and we're going to cut it out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line it up. I'm going to place this in here. Line it up kind of right in the middle. As centered as I could possibly get it. And then there's the piece. The seat. Now, I'm not great at creating banners. I'm going to use my paper trimmer. I may not actually do the flag at the end. Because like I said, I'm not really great at doing them. So we're going to make that about, let's see, about 1.25 inches wide. You can see, obviously, it's still, the ink is still a little bit wet. Just trying not to smudge anything. Just trying to put, you know what, I'm just going to see, I may try to cut it into a banner, and if that doesn't work, then we can just leave it like this. Some of the ink got onto this and it's smudged. So we may not be doing that. These are not dry yet. It does take a little bit longer to dry. So actually, I'm going to hold off on that because I may just do a banner on this end. I may cut this off and then just do one on the end. Because even though, that's the one thing about the sketch challenges, even though the sketch shows that there's a banner up there and then there's a piece and then there's a circle, this isn't exactly a circle. I mean, there's a circle in the middle of that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's what you have to use. You can use a heart. You kind of take it as your own interpretation. So now this is going to lay on the card base, and I know the red and pinks look terrible down here. My lighting is really, really bad. I have to get a new lighting for this, so I do apologize. I want to get some kind of arm so this actually shoots from above me and not in front. So the lighting will be a little bit better. But unfortunately, on Wednesday, I lost my job. So that was one of my purchases that I was going to look into. But right now, until I find a new job, it is going to have to wait. My 1-year anniversary with the company will be 2 days before I get let go. So it's not just me, my entire team got let go. So it's, that's definitely one of the things that's now going to be on my wait list and not on my must-have list. So if you guys can just bear with me through the poor lighting situation down here. So I'm going to try my best. So I'm trying to find where the light is not killing it. So again, and I'll try to have pictures of this up on my blog so that that you guys can really see it. So they say the best way to do the banner is to cut a little slit in about halfway, and then take each edge and meet that line. So let's see. And then I always think that mine it doesn't always look centered when I do it this way, but we're going to try. Let's see what this looks like. There we go. Okay, so, I mean, not the worst banner edge ever created. And there you go. So we're going to place this down on the top. And then I'm going to cut actually a row of dots off of this. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. I think I want to pop this sweet up off the card. And I want to cut this down. So again, just trying to run my finger over it. Just make sure that it is coming off a little bit on my hands. So there's a couple different ways that you could kind of set this and make this permanent quicker. One is to sprinkle embossing powder over top of it, clear embossing powder, and then that'll give it kind of a raised, shiny effect. You can also just heat set it with your heat tool. So I'm trying to think what I'm going to do. You know what? I'm just going to use my paper trimmer. We're just kind of gonna, because I don't think it's going to be really dry anytime soon. So we're just going to cut a small section out. I'm just going to eyeball it and see, and cut it down to 3.5. I may need to cut it down a little bit further than that. I don't know. So again, this is just what happens when you're not sure how you want your project to look. I don't know if we should cut it down to the exact same dimensions, and then pop that up. Actually, that doesn't look too bad because you can't see dimensions, so this is actually going to be popped up. So we are going to actually use a Zig 2A glue pen. Oops, sorry. I'm going to use a Zig 2A glue pen on the back of this to glue it down. I'm going to do the same thing with this. Trying not to move it too much to smudge any of the ink if it is still wet. I could have gone over these edges with some light brown distress ink, and that way you would be able to, it would kind of give it a little bit more definition. But I didn't think of that, and I already started to put the stuff on. So I love distressing. There's so many different things you can do with it. Like I was saying before, I use it for so many different things. Watercoloring is one of my favorite techniques with that. I may do some watercoloring in a future Sketch Sunday video. It's just, time seems to be getting away from me lately. And I haven't really felt like doing anything, since I found out about the job. So there is my card. It's very, very simple, very kind of basic. I may give this to my mom maybe for Valentine's Day. She loves chocolate. That's like her favorite thing. So here you go. There's the finished card. I will definitely, it will be linked over at My Favorite Things blog when I enter the contest. I'm hoping that I am going to remember. I forgot to enter last week. So I'm hoping that I will remember that. If I do, that'll be up there. I'm also going to take a picture of it, and it'll be up on my Instagram after this video uploads. So the link to my Instagram is in the more information section. So if you want to go over there and get a chance to see it a little bit better than you can on this video, I'll go ahead over. And I thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them below. Thank you guys so much for subscribing. I have had several new subscribers in the past couple of days. I really appreciate it. And I just wanted to let you know I'm going to be participating in 2 events in the upcoming weeks. January 20th to 24th, there's going to be the hashtag event. I do a monthly hashtag for one of the Facebook groups that I'm in, and then there's also going to be a 14 days of Valentine's Day, February 1st to the 14th. There's going to be an event going on, and I will link the names of the other people who are participating, and I also believe there's going to be a playlist associated with it. I'll link that over there on my videos, and you guys can go check out the things that are being done over there. So again, thank you, and I will see you guys soon. Bye!